Welcome to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. And now over to your host, Troy Warner, broadcasting live from the world-famous Para Cave.
And yes, hello and welcome back to another episode of the Para Cave podcast. Troy Warner here, and it was another loss to the Parramatta Eels, to the West Tigers, 32 points to 6 at Commbank Stadium, played in front of a crowd of 18,362 in sweltering heat in Sydney. It was a very, very warm day. It was 36, 37 degrees out there at Commbank Stadium. I was one of those spectators that was out there, and yes, I could definitely feel the heat, that is for sure, out at Commbank Stadium. Look, the Tigers, 32 points. They consisted of 6 tries and 4 goals. It was Taruva who got 3 tries to his name. Skilton got 1, Lachlan Galvin got 1, Stafford Toa got the other try, Adam Dewey 4 out of 6. It was 16-0 at half time to the Tigers. Sean Russell, he scored the only try for the Parramatta Eels, and that was in the 79th minute. Zach Lomax converting that one for Parramatta's 6 points. Look, it was a bit of a ding-dong battle, I guess you could say, in the first 20 minutes or so. Both sides making a few mistakes, a few errors, drop balls and the like, giving away ruck infringements and also penalties as well. Look, whether the weather played a part in this game for Parramatta, I don't know. It just feels a little bit strange that the Eels can train in this sort of heat in off-season in the western suburbs of Sydney, but we've seen it now 2 weeks in a row. Hot conditions, and Parramatta have struggled. I don't know what it is. As I said, Parramatta train in the off-season in these sort of conditions. Whether it is, I think the only thing that's probably different is the fact that they are training in this weather, but not probably actually playing game-length games in this weather in pre-season. So it's a lot of different training that they do in pre-season. But look, that's no disrespect to the Tigers as well, because they would be training in the same sort of weather as well, pre-season as well. So look, I don't know what the answer is, but the Eels, they did look a little bit unfit throughout the game, and last week as well. So that is something definitely that they are going to have to work on. That is for sure. Look, if we move forward, look, this game had a lot of promise, I thought, for Parramatta going into this game. The Dylan Brown contract situation had been solved. He was going to Newcastle for 10 years. The loss against Melbourne the week before, I thought this was the first home game for the Parramatta Eels in front of their home fans and members. I thought now that contract had been put to bed, that Dylan would make a statement in this game and just really grab the game by the scruff of the neck and do everything he could to win this game for Parramatta. That didn't happen, unfortunately. Look, fans and members are entitled to, I guess, boo players when they do go to the ground, and Dylan certainly did cop that when his name was read out as part of the team list. And look, fans are entitled to that, as long as it doesn't cross the line, as long as it doesn't become discrimination or racial or anything like that. They are entitled to. They're passionate. It shows their passion for their club, and obviously a lot of fans are disappointed about the decision that Dylan Brown has made, and he would have expected that going into the game. Would have expected a few unhappy fans there and booing him and the like. There was a couple of times I thought that when he did touch the ball, he was booed as well. But look, as I said, fans are entitled to that. It just shows you their passion for their side. Look, it was a game that I thought the Tigers were going to be up for this game, that is for sure. They had a couple of players coming back. Their spine was coming back, like Bulla and Api Coruscant as well, a big part of their team. And look, it's a pretty classy spine. Bulla, Api, Luai and Galvin as well. Galvin scored a try right on half time. It was a pretty sort of embarrassing try, I thought, from a Parramatta perspective as well. It all started down in the deep field and ended up with a kick into the midfield, and Galvin was there jolly on the spot and scored the try right near the post, under the post sort of thing. And they went to 14-0, and obviously the conversion from Adam Dewey was successful, so they went to 16-0. Lachlan Galvin has also been in the news as well in terms of a contract, a club switch to Parramatta. Obviously, that didn't play on his mind yesterday. He did everything he could for his side to win, and they got the win there. So, a lot of talk about Galvin coming to Parramatta to replace Dylan Brown. Whether that happens or not, I am not too sure. But he is certainly one of those names that has been mentioned. Look, the first try to Taruva, he got a triple, as I said. And doesn't he loves playing against Parramatta, that is for sure, scoring tries. But look, a little bit of miscommunication in defence out wide and created a little bit of an overlap, and Taruva stepped inside. I forget who it was now, but right foot step and scored, and he celebrated, that is for sure. Stafford Toa. Now this try here I thought was a little bit controversial. A lot of people think that his leg might have been out. Still pictures have shown that his leg was above the line, the sideline. I don't know about his back leg, whether that was in touch or not, but I actually thought it could have been a double movement, to be honest. I thought the ball carrying arm had come in contact with the ground, and he promoted the ball across the line, but it was a momentum call, and the try was confirmed, and Adam Dewey, he kicked it from the sideline. The third try was that Lachlan Galvin try, as I mentioned before, a little bit of a coach killer right on full half time to get a try there. And then it didn't take too much longer. After half-time, Jarrell Skelton got the Tigers try there to make it 20-0, and you're sitting there watching it going, what the hell is going on? 20-0 against the Tigers. Now, we all knew that the Tigers were going to be up for this game, but as Parramatta fans, they expected a lot more from their side. He had a player like Jordan Samrani, who was on debut, so congratulations to him on making his NRL debut. He was probably one of the better players for Parramatta, to be honest. Certainly tried very, very hard, made an error, but look, it's only his first game, but certainly one of the better players. And like last week, it showed that the debut players, the inexperienced players, are really putting these older players, experienced players to shame, I think, in the way that they're performing. I don't know what is going on there, whether it's a fact of that they're more excited to play, or because it is their first couple of games there, but they certainly do step it up. And I think Jordan Samrani, he may find himself on a wing spot even when Josh Addo-Carr comes back this week against the Bulldogs. I'm pretty confident he'll be straight into that side and try and make a difference at the Fox. But I think Samrani, he may have done enough in this game to keep his wing spot in expense of Sean Russell, I should say. Apologies. I just had a mind blank. Sorry, Sean. I apologise for that one. in expense of Sean Russell. So, look, I think that may be the case come team list Tuesday. I don't know what's going on at Parramatta. You would have thought that Dylan Brown would have taken control of this game. He had a few early runs, and you thought maybe potentially he would be on song, and really taking this game by the scruff of the neck. As I mentioned before, he had a few early runs, but it just wasn't to be. There has been questions from Parramatta fans. Do they drop him to New South Wales Cup? Well, I think you just have to have your best players that are available in your first grade side, and certainly Dylan Brown is one of the best players in the Parramatta squad. So I think he has to stay there. Does he stay in the number 6 jersey? Does he go to the number 7 jersey? A lot of people will not like that suggestion. But does he go to the number 7 jersey and just have to run this team and just say to him, look, this is your team to run? I know a few experts think that one as well, but yeah, I'm a little bit wary of that one. As we saw last season, it didn't quite work out in terms of the results when Mitchell Moses was out. If we go to the team stats, possession was pretty even, 51% to the Tigers, 49% to the Eels. The completion rate is a big one, 73% to the Eels and only 82% to the 82% to the Tigers, which is what you want. You want over 80% completion rates in a game of rugby league. Tackle breaks 41 to the Tigers, 33 to the Eels. Line breaks 8 to the Tigers, 4 to the Eels, which is a real concern for the Parramatta side, their defence. And we all knew at the start of the year we had a new defensive coach, Sam Moa, come in to the team as an assistant coach to Jason Riles. We all knew defence was going to be a massive issue to fix, and it certainly was. 41 missed tackles compared to the Tigers 33. So, look, I just think that still is a massive job for Sam Moa to try and get that correct and get that happening. Look, Jason Riles said at the start of the year, I'm a new coach. We've got new players, new systems, new assistant coaches. Look, it isn't going to happen overnight. It will take time to happen. I just think that fans are expecting it to happen straight away. And look, on paper, you probably would have thought that potentially Parramatta were the better team in terms of on paper. But the names in this Tigers side, they're the new players, especially Terrell May. He has really stood it up for the Tigers in his first 2 games. He played 64 minutes, 21 runs, 176 metres. He also made 43 tackles as well. So his first 2 games for the Tigers have been outstanding, and that's what you want from your front rower. That's what you want from your forward pack. Is if your forward pack is going forward, then it gives your backs a lot of space out wide to do their things. So certainly Terrell May is leading the front there for the Tigers. Look, for the Parramatta side, it was hard to choose a player of the game. A few mentions that probably went look pretty good in my opinion and some fans' opinion as well. Jordan Samrani, as I mentioned before, he had a great debut in a losing side, and I think he will retain his spot for round number 3. Zach Lomax as well, he tried very hard, 24 runs, 192 metres, 5 offloads. Kicked one goal there as well. Did a lot of work getting Parramatta out of trouble, especially after or for a kick returns. That second sort of run back after a kick from the Tigers. So, look, I think he did a lot of work and probably something that not necessarily he would want to do every single time, but I think that's probably in his game now as well, to do that. I think there was a little bit of mixing it up as well in defence and attack with Zach Lomax and Sean Russell, I think it was. Sam Rani. So a little bit of mixing it up there at the back in defence and attack, so that's something to keep an eye on as well. Will Penasini, look, he had probably one of his worst defensive efforts this game, I think. Still got 15 runs, 168 metres, so he does also get Parramatta out of trouble as well. Iongi as well, his third NRL game, 17 runs, 144 metres. Jack Williams, he tried very hard as well. He was one of the better performers as well for Parramatta, played 75 minutes for, as I mentioned, 14 runs, 123 metres. Also, he made 35 tackles, only 2 missed tackles as well. So he has performed pretty well in his first 2 games for his new club, and was one of the better performers. Jermaine Hopgood as well, 9 runs, 80 metres, 46 tackles. He was the top tackler for Parramatta. But look, sometimes you think especially in that heat as well, if you're going to do that much work, then that is in that heat, 46 tackles. That's unbelievable. But that is going to take it out of you, and it showed too, because there was a couple of errors in Jermaine's game as well. But look, which Parramatta player did make an error in the game, right? So the more you try, the more a mistake is going to happen, you would think. But Jermaine was the top tackler with 46, as I mentioned. Zach was the top run meter gainer with 197. So, look, individuals are making little efforts here and there, but it needs to be a team effort to make a winning team. And I don't know where we go from here in terms of squad selection. Do we think Ronald Volkman is the halfback for Parramatta? Look, he's come back from a big serious injury, so he has had a lot of time out of the game, and I think there's a lot of expectation on him, especially after that Newcastle trial many weeks ago now. We thought, yeah, okay, this could be a solution for when Mitchell Moses was out, and then Mitchell's not out. No, sorry, Mitchell is out playing and Ronald is in the side for round 1. We thought, okay, yeah, look, that can't be too bad. He had a pretty sort of average game against the Tigers in the trial game as well. But we thought, okay, yeah, this could be okay. Is that the solution? Do you move Dylan Brown to halfback and put someone like a Joash Papali'i or Papali, I should say, into the number 6 jersey? Do you drop Dylan from the first grade squad? I don't think so. As I mentioned before, he is one of the better players, so I think he has to stay in the side. Does that mean that Joash Papali, I should say, does he go onto the interchange bench somewhere? I thought Matt Dury, he runs the ball hard, just wasn't getting an opportunity as much. Only got 26 minutes in the game. Kotoga, that was his club debut, so 60 minutes from him. Big Sam Tuivati, second game of NRL. Riley Smith as well, he played 55 minutes. I guess that could be the long-term selection, and I think we are seeing some quality service outside from Riley Smith. And as I mentioned before, it sort of reminded me of Reid Marnie when he started at Parramatta. Just the quality of ball that the outside men from Riley Smith out of dummy half. Now, does he start the game? That is another question. Or a lot of people have been saying that he should start the game. Look, I don't know about that one in his young career so far. He made 33 tackles yesterday for only 2 missed tackles. Yesterday's game, and we know that he is a tackling machine. He only did a couple of runs from dummy half, 2 runs for 13 metres. No kicking that I can see. No kicking yesterday. 1 kick for 10 metres, which resulted in a forced dropout. So that was a good effort there. Look, does he start the game? Does Brendan Hands come off the bench? Because we know we do need 2 hookers in this game. We need one on the bench, one starting. So is it too early to make massive mix-up changes? I don't know. Do we stick to the same squad of Hands at starting hooker and Riley Smith on the bench? Probably. I think that will be the result this week when Team List Tuesday is read out or confirmed at 4 p.m. I think Sean Russell might be under a little bit of pressure. I think Jordan Samrani will keep his spot on the wing. We see Josh Addo-Carr come back this week from suspension against his old club. So I think he will slot into a wing spot. Out of the forwards, does Sean Lane keep his spot in that side? Or does someone like a Charlie Guymer come back into a contention for a back row spot? Does Jack Williams start in the prop position like we have seen him do previously? I have seen that he was put on report in yesterday's game. I don't know the outcome of that one at the time of this recording, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. By all reports, Joash Papali, he did outstanding in New South Wales Cup, so that he could be in contention to play against his old club, the Bulldogs. Do we select ex-Bulldogs side players in this side? We know that one of the things we see is players who play against their old club. They seem to have this step-up effect, and they love playing against their old club. So we've got a few ex-Bulldogs in our squad, so maybe that could be the answer. Dean Hawkins, he played in New South Wales Cup yesterday, which was won by the Eels over the Western Suburbs Magpies. This game was played at Ringrose Park, 20 points to 10. He scored a try in this game as well. Does he get a start at halfback next week in place of Ronald Volkman? Potentially. So he was the captain of that side. yesterday, so maybe he does get a start in the halfback role. He is a genuine halfback, so Dylan could stay at 5'8", not quite in the Mitchell Moses calibre, but he is a genuine halfback. And look, in my opinion, and this was my opinion last year, I thought that when your number one halfback goes down, you just go straight to your New South Wales Cup halfback. That's what we used to see in the old days. It's probably a little bit changed now, but I would have, last year especially, when Mitchell was out, I would have just slotted straight Ethan Sanders into the number 7 jumper. Potentially this is what Jason Riles might do this time, tomorrow, when Team List Tuesday is confirmed. Maybe Dean Hawkins will go into that halfback spot for the Eels. I think that's what he was brought to the club for, as backup to Mitch. So look, why not give him an opportunity at halfback? Had to get a special dispensation for Ronald Volkman to start the season against Melbourne and to play yesterday. So I think that might be the answer. I think we may see Dean Hawkins come into the halfback squad, a halfback position for Parramatta against the Bulldogs, which is a crucial game for the Eels. They are 0-2. They need to get this win against a hard Bulldogs side. Look, the Bulldogs, they have got their injury worries as well, with Viliami Kikau and Matt Burton out with knee injuries. So I guess you could say that is a little bit of a bonus for Parramatta. But look, there's going to be a massive Bulldogs crowd there at Commbank. When the Bulldogs are winning games, they certainly turn up in droves, and what better game than this one against their arch rivals, the Parramatta Eels. So they will definitely be out there in force. They will be like a little bit of a, I guess you could say, 14th or 18th man, just that crowd to try and help you win the game. So Parramatta fans, I know that it is difficult to see your team lose lose on the weekend, but we need your support against the Bulldogs. We need to be as loud, if not louder, than the Bulldogs supporters. So we're going to need your support to get out there in numbers, the colour, the atmosphere as well. The Swarm Bay yesterday was doing quite well, flag waving, starting some chants, getting behind the boys. The bays were sold out yesterday and it looked really good. We're going to need that 10 times more against the Bulldogs. So anyway, that's what happened against the Tigers last week. As I mentioned, the Bulldogs, the Parramatta Eels faced the Bulldogs at Commbank Stadium on Sunday the 23rd of March at 4:05 p.m. So that should be a blockbuster game. Even though the Eels aren't going that good at the moment against arch rivals, the Bulldogs, they will certainly step it up and hopefully get their first win of the season. But thank you very much for listening to this game review. It's always very difficult to do a game review when you lose. Let's hope we can get the win against the Bulldogs and it will be a much happier game review. Definitely easier to talk about. But look, a lot of problems at Parramatta at the moment. Let's hope they can have a great week of training and get the win against the Bulldogs and start their winning ways and get off that bottom of the ladder. But anyway, the Parracave podcast, by the fan, for the fans. Go Para!
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Parracave podcast.